Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Travis Told You. It is December 3rd, 2025. My goodness, we're in the end game now for the end of the year, right? I know I just talked about this on Monday, but just saying that out loud just feels kind of weird, you know? Hope everybody, good reminder, I did some of this on Monday and a little bit after, good reminder, everybody, make sure you get that Christmas shopping done. If you haven't, or give anyone to buy for, do that. Luckily today we got a very Batman-centric show, heavy show, I guess. If you're also in the DC stuff, it's kind of that too. We're talking about Batman. It's more just a celebratory run, I'm sure Maddie will appreciate this as well. We're getting the Matt Reeves gifts back. It's going to be very fun to talk about kind of what that means, what we got yesterday. And just some news for the Batman. We got some rumors. It's very low C tier, but more just heat to the fire as far as the Robin, Brady and the Bold stuff. And then we got some other terrible rumor. I don't know. It's an interesting day and an interesting time for DC. And luckily, I do have some Patreon questions as well. I'm going to try and get to them if I have the time. A big shout out to Clay and a couple other people that, ahead of time sent me the questions and because I said, Wednesday might be an evergreen show, right? But luckily, check out Weekly Geek. Dylan and Kirkland talked about Helldivers and Kill Bill 3. And then already on Thursday, because there's lots of trailers dropping. I think there's something else dropping too on the Thursday. That's why it's okay, we're covered there. So yeah, luckily this stuff just kind of broke. And I don't know how much the boys would have to say about the cinematographer, which, I could speak about Batman every day. I could have, back in the day, it didn't work out because we got too busy, but Greg and I used to do Batman You Complete Me, right? We did that podcast, did a couple episodes. Our plan was to do it monthly, and then we just busy, different times, etc. It was tough to schedule, but I easily could do a show talking about Batman all the time. So it's great to get some actual news, like there's rumors in this episode today, but the actual news. But yeah, we got a newscast tomorrow. That's gonna be me, Kirkland, and Taylor. Dylan's off doing something, and then still got it going on, a bunch of stuff. So check out, if you are a patron now, check out on the if you're a producer, the Christmas retrospective poll should be live. Either it's live now, it should be by time if you're listening to the audio for sure. If you're live right now, it should be. I don't know for sure. I thought I set it to a certain time, but I can't remember what let me quickly rattle off the choices because it's going to be a 2-day poll, so we have some time to watch the movie, obviously, because we record that next Wednesday. Okay, so it is up. That's good. So the choices this year are, let's see here, Dead Bang, The Grinch 2001, Klaus, Krampus, It's a Wonderful Life, The Santa Claus, and Silent Night, Deadly Night. Luckily, there's a few on here. I would think I'd be kind of happy with them all. I'll just say I'll say just in general, right? The Grinch and Santa Claus, I'll always say I don't think there's anything harder to review than luckily these are Christmas oriented and Christmas themed, so you got that going on as well. But there's nothing harder to review to me than a good comedy, because it's lots of time you can talk about the structure of the character arc, but when it's just stuff that's making you laugh, etc. That's why it's tough, because that's all subjective, right? So that's one of the hardest things to ever do when we get those retrospectives. But it's a good challenge, and plus those movies are older. That's the hardest when it's a new comedy. And then there's no trivia or anything like that, right? But check out for that. We'll be doing that poll for about 2 days, and then we'll review that next week. And yeah, lots of good stuff. Check out the Discord. We're always in there chatting about stuff, Stranger Things, football, wrestling. Check out the gimmick that just happened. But let's not waste any time, because we got a few things to talk about here. And luckily, thank you to everyone that did send in some evergreen topics and ideas. I'll get to some and some of the Patreon questions later. If I don't, I'll kick it to Monday, because as I've said, Monday there's a show for sure. Wednesday is a TBD, because I got some days off because, as I've talked about before, Gwen has the Nutcracker next weekend. I've not mentally prepared myself to sit through the Nutcracker. We got a break last year because all three of the twins were here, so Gwen wasn't doing it, but we got a break last year. And of course, I enjoy the Nutcracker. I enjoy watching Gwen dance and do all that stuff. That's fine. But the problem is there's many times where she's off the stage, right? She plays a sugar plum and a mouse this year. So luckily it's 2 roles, so I'll see her multiple times. But it's just, not a store, Nutcracker in general. I don't love, So then when we got to watch it every year, but it's great to see her. That's the high. The first year I can't remember what the technical role is, but it's like the opening party, and she played one of the little girls. And I think I told this podcast before, so if you're newer, I was just surprised how good she did. Like, it was, I can't remember at the age, it was like 5 or 6, somewhere in there. And the amount of it, like, I felt like she had more instructions to do then than she does now. Cause now it's like dances and, there's routines, but that was more the acting side. And man, it just blew me away. And I remember like breaking down, just being so proud. So every year seeing her progress is great. So that's why Trash told you next week, if there is no episode, I'll reiterate again on the Monday, but I'll think, I gotta look at the schedule, cause that's why I'm off those days. So then I can watch the twins and Ellie. So then, Emily can take her there. And I know you might be being, oh, why? Like, that's usually after. No, Nutcrackers, skip the training or the rehearsals the 3 days before. It's a bunch all over the place, like multiple times a day throughout the day, skipping school. So that's why. So we'll see. But yeah, again, thank you for everyone sending Evergreen. And even then, maybe I'll pre-record it, because I did want to talk about, I was going to answer the questions, but another Evergreen thing I had, we're just going to be talking, people might not like this, people might think, oh, I don't tune in the Geek First for this, but Travis told you sometimes there's going to be topics that are just centric to me. Which is gonna be about life, and just like just enjoy it and appreciate it. I'll get into more next week, because I'm gonna use this to promote the show too. And this is not, I always appreciate it when I say this, and I still get a message, but no one has to. There's family stuff that's one of my family members, and their significant other, and someone I'm close to. And I'm not going to give many details because they're very private. I'm not going to say who it is. They're very private. They don't even post their kids on social media, but it's more for the point of they're about to go through like a super very terrible time. And all I'm saying is, obviously we all have issues and problems out there. And people, if it's like, if you don't have a job or like some big issues, that I understand. There's always some big stuff going on. But I'm telling everybody that has the little day issues, that's pretty good, pretty, situated. But those little day issues, whether it's stress at work or stress at home or even stuff at family, just appreciate all as much you can, because man, just like that, like life can change. And I had that feeling. I'll talk about more on that Evergreen one, but just, it was a night where we were putting up the tree, and the base is too small, so it keeps falling, everything like that. And the girls were disappointed because I said, okay, well, we can't do the tree this time. And then they got those like moody and whatnot. And then at the end of the night, I got that news, and it's just like, man, all my issues as far as this, or kids don't want to brush their teeth, this and that, it's just like, and I try to do that myself all the time, right? Because me and Emily talk about, because I think we all go through that, right? Of like working and scheduling life and all this stuff that happens, or I got to do this. But that's where it's like, man, like another good reminder of my problems are just so, and I saw about the tail, like our problems are so minute. There's of course ways in life things could be better, but that's what I'm saying. Everybody, especially around the time, enjoy life. And if you're not right now, obviously talk to friends, people are out there, but also just like, find something, find a hobby. Doesn't matter if it's just video games or watching sports or going for a hike, like whatever it may be. So just appreciate what you got going on. If you have little problems, if you got the big problems, then obviously that's always tough. I'm wishing you the best, work your way through it. But right now, luckily myself don't have any of those, other than, this is now a situation, and it's just, and it doesn't affect, technically my direct family, right? With Emily and the kids. It's just that it's just awful times, can happen, just change. And it doesn't matter. The people in my family that's happening to, love them. Like, not that anybody, but it's like, like I got an uncle that, like, maybe he wasn't the greatest, like wasn't the greatest guy. I wouldn't wish these things upon him, but it's just like, okay, it's the situation where super bad things are happening to a very, like, my whole life, great person, and that person in their life, great person. And it's just like, man, especially with that and watching 6 Feet Under, as I talked about a couple Geek Verses ago, it's just like, doesn't matter. You be the nicest, best person and this is definitely one of the best people I've known my whole life growing up. And just like this shit, like super shit deal, and it's just, so just appreciate the time you got, appreciate the good things you do right now, because things also can turn. So right now, if things are going good for you in life, take a moment, appreciate that. And let's talk about the little things in life that can make us happy. The Batman. Let's finally get into it. So the Batman Part 2. So I kind of thought this might be happening. This is more, I won't say inside baseball if you're listening to this, right? But I'm sure lots of people are more expecting the, hey, I want to, the casting news, villain news, etc., right? I do understand that, but this is the thing. We're going to be getting to that. Not today. not today, but it is in the near future because if people don't know, if they weren't around in that era of the Batman, part one casting, there would be either Reeves would, I think there was a couple times where there was a port and he would confirm it, but most of the time it was just, hey, it was GIF of Robert Pattinson from Good Life, GIF of Zoe Kravitz from High Fidelity, GIF of John Turturro from God, we just reviewed it this year, The Big Lebowski, right? And that's a fun thing where there's no press release, it's not Comic Con, this and that, but it drum up excitement, right? Because now after yesterday, I turned those notifications on for Matt Reeves because that was the best when you would get a tweet, see, oh, it's from Matt Reeves, and it's just a GIF too. If it's just an image, that's like, oh, what is this? Because usually he would respond after a quote tweet and talk about who's playing who. Yeah, and that's what happened yesterday where for a while it's gone back and forth the if the Greg Fraser, the person who is the director of photography, the first go round, also did Dune, has an Oscar. Amazing talent, right? You look at a lot of his work and look at the Batman, right? To me, the Batman is probably I think visually it is the best Batman movie. I think I've said this before because I'm at a crossroads with it so much, right? Where I think I'm always, it's going to take a hard thing to change it, but I think I'm always just going to say The Dark Knight's my favorite movie of all time, just for many reasons. I love it as a movie. I can name you all these reasons why it's great, but also just inspired a lot of things in my life, right? A lot of trajectory I'm trying to go right now. And the Batman, that's where stuff like, even with our top 10, a spoiler, I couldn't put it in there because it's still like, it's still newer, but it's just like it's tough to like think about having two Batmans in there, right? Because I know I bring a lot of bias in there because it's like my whole life growing up was Batman. One of my first words was Batman as a kid. Like Batman's running through the blood, right? So for me, what I can always say though now is I still think Dark Knight is the technically better movie. It's still my favorite movie. And that's the thing. What I love about the Dark Knight versus the Batman, to me, it's a vibes. It's like, what type of vibes are you in for? I will always say, and whatever puts it over just a little bit. As much as I love Dano, and not gonna agree with anything Tarantino says, as much as I love Dano, Heath Ledger in the Dark Knight kind of always puts it a little bit over, but. I will still say the Batman is the best Batman movie we've gotten, right? And a lot of that had to do with the look. I would say not easily, but like I would say at least solidly number one, the Batman's the best looking Batman movie we've gotten. It's incredible. It has a style, has some stuff that I thought I wouldn't love at the beginning, but then I grew to like. So that's where it's like, okay, is Greg Fraser going to come back? And he'd kind of hummed and hawed. I don't know if it's like, because I think he's shooting Dune 3. I don't know, but it sounds like it is like a scheduling thing, not like any issues or anything like that, right? So the person he's getting replaced with is, let me pull it up here, is Eric Messerschmidt. Hopefully I didn't screw that up. Every Travis told you, I swear, a net cracked. It's probably because I'm the head straight and I'm looking here and it just acts up. So he's a cinematographer of Mindhunter, and the not most importantly, but I'd say it's the most comparable one is a Killer. So he's gonna be the cinematographer here. He is also an Academy Award winner for my least favorite David Fincher film. I guess next to Alien 3 is Mank. Not a bad movie. I just did not enjoy my time with it. Shout out to Cocktail Clay who does love it. But for example, this was funny. This was going around. I have a couple of tweets to share from somebody in March. They were comparing The Killer, which The Killer, obviously not his movie, but like it's coming up right now because it's cinematography, right? And does have similar vibes. But if you look at this, if you're the visual person, it's two shots of Batman, Bruce's eye when he's riding the bike, and then it's the Killer doing the same thing where it's Michael Fassbender's eye and then the bike. Very similar. And then I will pull up another one too, which this has gone around a bunch of places, but it is kind of crazy. And that's where I say like it is a good fit for. I'm with Maddie when we got that news. It was and many other people, it was kind of a disappointment, right? But if you look at this, like look at the visuals here, and I'll have this up while I'm talking here. For me, if you and some people have a knock, I don't, but I kind of understand it. But like, look at that first shot, the depth perception, not exactly the same, but the Batman has a lot of that. Like the beginning of the movie, right when Riddler knocks out that guy and the hammer falls or whatever the rug tucker, remember when that falls and it's kind of in a certain point of view. Same thing, Riddler in the car, but just the vibe of the Killer, the shots. And again, people might have this as a negative, but to me, I'm fine with it because I love the look of it. A lot of people said, "Hey, it kind of looks like Fincher light, right?" It's like we didn't get David Fincher directing, but we got this movie, and even the quality of the movie and the pacing, some of the script and whatnot, it feels a little bit like a Fincher movie, right? And that's completely fine because that's great. And even then, I think we've heard rumors of no, I guess it was Aronofsky, right? That was his. He was doing the very street level Batman, but there's even just story beats that you feel could have been similar to what we got from Fincher, and that to me is fine. Directors can have similarities. I don't think it'd be different if Matt Reeves' whole filmography was like a David Fincher ripoff, but between Apes and between what is it? Let Me In, Let Me In, not Let the Right One In. That's the original one. It's not like his whole career is just I'm trying to be David Fincher, right? I think it's just that the vibe that he felt for Batman fits into similar like a Fincher aesthetic. And you have this guy who did Mindhunter, Fincher, Killer Fincher, and then won the Oscar for Mank. So to me, I don't think he's sitting down of like, oh, I lost Greg Fraser. Let's see who's worked with David Fincher the most. No, I think it's just like, hey, this is the aesthetic I want to go for in the Batman. Who has most of that work? And obviously, it could come down to scheduling, everything. Maybe there's other people he talked to and it couldn't work out. But to me, it's one of these things where it's not just because no, I didn't think Greg Fraser was doing Dune. I thought the guy who did La La Land is doing Dune 3. Let's see, cinematographer. Linus Sandgreen. So I don't know what is Greg Fraser working on right now. Like I know it's gotta be something, but let's see. Just shot the Crater recently. What has he got upcoming? He Project Hail Mary, but that's gonna be out next year and done. So that kind of sucks. I thought it was the Dune thing that made sense, but even then, to that extent, right, to go to Dune 2 to Dune 3, Greg Fraser versus that guy, great style on La La Land and the stuff he's worked on, but let me get the guy's actual name before I just say that guy. Let's see, Linus Sandgreen, like that's a very different style, right? And people have said that kind of works because I've never read the Dune books. That kind of works for the Dune Fallout for it to have a different aesthetic style. And you could have that, right? If we were to get it, not Greg Fraser, but someone else, you go, oh, maybe because they're going this route with the story or the character, that's the route we're going to go. But it seems like meaning Matt Reeves and company, want to keep this vibe and this feel, right? So if you are, seems like this is the kind of the perfect guy to do it. Now, I'm sure maybe. It's tough because we have more game tape on Greg Fraser and we've seen a lot more he's done. There is a possibility where, this movie comes out and it feels like it's Greg Fraser light, right? Like people go, oh, it's good, but it's not like it was the first round. Who knows? I'm hoping it's just that it is similar because I want to keep the aesthetic and there's still great shots. I have faith because the stuff in The Killer looks great. So I have faith that he can do that. We'll have to see what happens. I'm excited, but that's what I'm most excited about is Jeff Snyder put this out. I'd say he's like a B tier scooper, obviously controversial figure in the kind of scooping game, but I don't really care about that. I just report news. I don't care what like I don't have a favorite scooper. I don't have that. We just give the news and say, hey, what tier it is, right? He put it out there and Matt Reeves said it was true, which is interesting because I feel like Gunn does it a lot where he'll say something's true or not true, but Matt Reeves is doing that, which is good because it is his project. And then he dropped the Al Pacino gift that's a true story. So that's where, to me, we are nearing. I think we've heard that they're because even then last week there was a report came out that they're supposedly casting for extras. It was an unlisted production, but it was a massive production and it was in Glasgow. Like it all lines up to okay. Clearly, that's the Batman looking for extras, right? So it all lines up to that. So we are getting closer and closer to that. It's just a question of are we going to get it by year's end? I don't know. I think the rumors are shooting in April. So I feel like I don't know because I think Maddie's asked me this before. I think at one point I was leaning yes, but obviously we only got a month left, right? But this tweet could be the whole, hey, he's starting to do some floodgate stuff, right? He's leaking it, not leaking, but he's revealing some stuff, right? So I wonder if it's going to be more like this where there's going to be more details or production people. And then the cast comes later on. But it feels like we're hearing rumblings of other people and rumors. So it's just a good time. And I cannot wait for that first gift that we get where it's give of actor, name, and then what the character is, and it's going to be an exciting time. And I feel like with the last go around, this is why I still feel like it's a little early on and I could be wrong, but why now I lean towards 2026 is because remember when we heard about Jonah Hill going for the Riddler, right? And then maybe Penguin, whatnot. We had heard some trades report on that first, and then he confirmed the Riddler casting with Dano, aka Edward Nashton, on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it, at that time, right? So that's why I still feel like we're probably due for one or two scuttlebutt, like whether it is the trades or whether it is like tomorrow. I'm saving the news for the boys because I kind of talked about it a little bit, but like the Brainiac, right? There's like a short list between the guy from Northman, Sam Rockwell, and Matt Smith for who's going to play Brainiac. And I feel the same thing that we've heard before with other trades and scoopers. When we get around the casting, that's when we start to leak and hear some names. So Brainiac, I think we could hear before the end of the year. I really do, because we've heard multiple scuttlebutts on that. With Batman, we've not really heard much, right? Like I covered a couple weeks ago where there was like a talk about, Oscar Isaac, but there's not been, and I guess there was that other Arkham actor too, right? I can't remember his name. So there's a little bit, but it's not, there's smoke, but you could still easily whoosh that smoke away, right? So don't get me wrong. I think, actually I go back and forth. I was going to say, because I've talked about this with Chris and Brent before, because I can't remember, with F4, because I think obviously, love those guys, but we always have different mindset and stuff, right? And I remember with F4 when they were covering Marvel Alliance, they got tired of the casting rumors. For me, I actually don't mind if we hear the rumors first, and then we get, and even Matt Reeves, or Batman, right? We heard about Holt and Pattinson being the finalists, and then Matt Reeves dropped that gift. So that's why I still think we're off a little bit. If we next week or so start hearing about testing or audition stuff, then I think by the end of the year it could happen, right? And maybe they want to trickle that news out in the right way, because if Supergirl is getting in trailer the next few weeks, because apparently it is being shown to some people, maybe in the press it sounds like there's trailer descriptions. CCXP is this week where DC has a panel, so we could be seeing that in the next 2 weeks, right? To me, that makes more sense of if the Supergirl trailer is coming out, give that the air for the next 2 weeks, unless there's a legitimately like Matt Reeves doesn't give a fuck and there is like a little bit of a, hey, I'm doing what I want, because we'll talk about James Gunn's situation here in a second, right? But I would personally, if you're playing ball with each other, let Supergirl head to December. Talk about that and then start the year off hot, because that's the other thing too, is you're gonna get Supergirl and then you're gonna get Doomsday, which Doomsday could suck a lot of the air of the room. Get Supergirl out there, I'd say relatively fast. Get that out there, and hopefully it plays in front of Avatar, but get that out there. Doomsday takes over the conversation for a little bit, and then January, February, start getting that Batman news out. Because that's the thing where Avengers is gonna drop this trailer and then be gone till like what? Super Bowl or Comic-Con, right? Maybe they do something at Super Bowl, whether it's them or Spidey with Sony, but even then it's like the news is not going to be and that's going to be Supergirl time, right? So there's not going to be much really casting, I think, or announcements for Marvel to make, where DC, between Man of Tomorrow and the Batman, they can have like a good trickle. This is the thing where I am. Who knows what's happening with the Batman situation? And I hope, I'm going to take it this way, because they interact lots of times. It seems happy. If it is all happy-go-lucky with James Gunn and Matt Reeves, which I'm just going to assume it is. I know nothing. We're fucking nobody when it comes to this stuff, right? As far as the news we know. I would definitely, it works, like it's symbiotic of kind of back and forth. Like imagine like 1 week it's Supergirl, 1 week it's Batman. It's just like a good kind of just hype cycle to have, especially if they're fun announcements, right? Obviously, I guess I'm wrong. Supergirl wouldn't be doing cast announcements. They already did, but just trickle of stuff, right? Poster, teasers, interviews, behind the scenes, stuff like that, right? Where Batman is very, and then after when you're done Supergirl, you got Man Tomorrow. Batman, I felt like once they did the suit reveal with Pattinson, it felt like they were pretty quiet. Also, we got set photos, but it felt like, okay, we're going to be shooting this, and we got that amazing trailer, right? So I think I think soon we're going to be getting some stuff, but I still think now in the new year, and it's very exciting. I can't wait. And yeah, like I said, I wouldn't mind if the lists and the rankings come out of who's playing what or who's auditioning for what right now, because I like seeing who it could be, right? I like having that conversation. Like even with Superman, I liked having that conversation of, okay, it's these three actors. What are the pros and cons against them, right? And it's always, because even now today we've had like, this is not a topic, but to cycle it in there, like they are doing the variety actors on actors, and then they announced today that they're doing one with Jonathan Bailey and David Cornsweet, which is interesting because a lot of people want Jonathan Bailey to be Batman, right? And I will say it again, and I agree with everybody that all you have to do is hit the gym, but seeing them side by side, he does got to, unless they want to go for like a slimmer Neil Adams Batman, they could, but like he's smaller. He's much smaller than Corn Sweat. So if you want to make him seem like a actual threat, you gotta he's gonna have to bulk up a little bit, right? And who knows if that's the case? I think he could make a great Batman. So we'll see. Speaking of that, this is C tier rumor, very C tier rumor, but person has got things right before, but it's just a C tier like Twitter scooper. But I thought I'd bring it up just because it has been talked about before. We've been here. This person said it comes from Fortress of DC. So again, grain of salt with anybody. I say grain of salt with anybody that's below B tier. Because to me, B tier is they get some stuff right, they get some stuff wrong. Grain of salt, C tier is like, okay, this Twitter, they could be getting a DM for somebody, right? But still, just because we've heard some of things, despite what was originally announced, it seems Damian Wayne will no longer be the Robin with Batman and Brayden the Bold. We've heard that after several discussions and script changes, they finally decided to go with Dick Grayson. So again, I've said this before, so just to reiterate a little bit, I do prefer that. I am in a situation where if the DCU continues and hopefully thrives, I would actually love to get from Dick to Jason to Tim. You could skip Tim, but to Tim and then to Damian, right? That's long-term thinking, but hey, if you could be something like the MCU where you go 20 years, you can tell those stories, right? Another reason is because Dick Grayson, to me, the best Robin and the original Robin, and I think one of the most important characters to Bruce, right? We have not seen a great adaptation of that in live action. Batman 66 with Burt Ward is a very, comedic, like, oh, holy gee Willikers Batman. Like that, like, we don't get the depths of what that relationship is, right? And I think in Batman Forever, they hit on some of it they hit on. Batman and Robin, it's pretty much gone, except there is one great speech that Batman makes to him, but like, friend, brother, partner, will you help me? Like, that's great. But we have not in live action seen that relationship done, I'm not going to say correctly, but even with much weight attached to it. It's not been giving depth at all. It's very just like breadcrumbs. So I feel like there's a whole thing there. And what's interesting is I think they continued after. Oh, did I click away? But I think they said that it was not even going to be an origin of Robin. Let's see here. Let's see. We've also heard it's unlikely to be a Dick origin story that will have him much more as advanced Robin. However, that doesn't mean we won't see flashbacks to his past. And that's, to me, the way to do it. I don't think you need to do the origin story because it's like Superman, like Batman. Even though Batman Forever was a long time ago, and I wouldn't say a perfect or great adaptation of Robin and Batman, people know the story, right? His parents get killed. Bruce adopts them because they see one another in each other. That's fine. Continue on. And that even works for me too, as far as, okay, if he's a bit older, you have that tension of wanting to Batman and Robin, but it's also that tension of, I kind of want to be my own man. So I know Fanboy Clay and RGH has like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to wait 25 years to see Nightwing. I don't think that would be the case. I think if you get someone that's in their like early to mid 20s, you can start to do that. Okay, I've been Robin for a while, and then easily, and at the end of this film or at the end of the second film or in the middle, you could have them break off, right? And like, okay, we're not together anymore for X, Y, and Z. Let's not make it that Bruce Wayne bangs Barbara Gordon. That was a terrible storyline that span off in the animated series, and it just, God, why am I forgetting? Oh, God, there's Paul Dini, and there's the guy, I'm forgetting the guy who did the art for Batman. But man, I think he has some great story ideas, but he also has some dog shit story ideas. In the chat, if you do, let me know. Like, look at fucking Killing Joke, right? Like, that man has obsession. I don't know why. I'm not going to read that therapeutically, but the obsession of putting older Batman with young Barbara Gordon. One, I didn't like it from a character standpoint, and then two, just in real life, just kind of gross and icky, right? So anyways, the thing, though, with that changes is, one, I still need to get confirmation. My perfect world, as I've said before, that Matt Reeves' Batman is just Batman doing his solo things, and then that's how you still make this different, right? Before I understood the pitch of, and because even Dave and Phil Junkies talk about this, which I agree with them as far as how do you make this Batman different? Well, let's introduce his son that tons of people don't know, right? But at this time, if you got a solo Batman over there, and then you got a team up Batman that's already connected to DCU, hopefully, I imagine with a different, suit that's, my hope is blue and gray. And then with a Robin, I think you can tell, okay, these two are different. I think where it still gets interesting is that we've heard rumors of Dick Grayson being in Matt Reeves' Batman. And then if he's also in this, like Brayden the Bold, that's where I don't know. That's where I think, okay, this thing's shot. Like that this makes no sense to me. I understand, and maybe James just looks and go, I don't care what he's doing over there. We got to do our thing. I do understand from where they've went with the DCU that they looked at and went, you know what, maybe we shouldn't start with Damian. Let's go back a little bit. And there's also just tons of story potential, I think, to go from Dick to Damian, right? To establish that Bat family. Because I know people are like, I want to see the Bat family on screen. I do too. Don't get me wrong. I think that's, again, another good way to set yourself apart from Pattinson. But at the same time, a lot of people need that build up. Do a lot of people just want to see three Robins run around and not feel like they know them and have no connection to them? We might, because we know a lot of their stories and we read comics, we watch animated stuff. But I feel like the general audience, this is not the confusion. This is just like, do they have a reason to lock in, right? The same way as like, look at the Marvels. When you had Monica Rambeau and Miss Marvel, I think there's a lot of things that happened with that movie, with release and with the way Marvel's quality was. But I think it was also that I don't know these fucking characters, because as we saw, they weren't watching the Disney Plus stuff, right? Like to everything into like a huge amount of degree. So I think that was like, who are these characters? And that's why I think they've done a better job of, we're going to go back to adapting kind of the B tier characters on Disney Plus, like a Vision, like a Hawkeye. I think that's what they should do. I think the new characters, barring a special occasion here or there, I don't think it works as the introduction. I think you got to lock people in on the movies and then have them fall. You can't lock them in the show, because as we've seen, different audiences, right? So that's all I need to do is hear the other shoe drop for Matt Reeves. Because if we get a GIF and it's some fucking kid and it's, oh, welcome Richard or Dick Grayson, and there's rumors over here that it's Dick Grayson, that's an interesting situation. Even if it's a couple years apart, that's not something I would recommend. Then I would just say, you know what? Then I go, okay, no, then do Damian. If that is the situation where if I'm getting lunch with James Gunn, I don't know what he likes. Maybe he's like some sushi, and you know he's purviewed and told me this stuff. And so, yeah, well, Matt is doing Dick Grayson. We're thinking about doing the same. I go, no, go back to the original pitch. I understand. Then if you want to do this thing where you want to tell stories of the like the Robins, do a Nightwing movie and tell it through flashbacks there, or a Batgirl movie flashback. Like, do a different method and get there. Not Dick and then not Dick on Dick action. Dick on Dick's action can be good, but not in this situation, you know? So it's going to be interesting, but just the reason I put that in there, because this is another person. Could they just be regurgitating things other people have said? Sure. But we just keep hearing about changes. And even, I think the floodgates open a little bit too for people to ask questions when Gunn said, since the announcement, a lot of things have changed with Brave and the Bold. What are those things? I don't know. And he didn't even talk about them. Fuck us, right? He's not going to say anything, but it's going to, well, he will say something, but like he doesn't have to, right? He doesn't have to talk about that right now. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. It's going to be very interesting if they have them both. That creates the whole conversation again of confusion. And I do trust the GA and that they can make a difference, but still, and not even confusion too for me. Take that aside. There's be some people confused, but most people probably will figure out after conversation. More just the already in a world where there's a lot of superhero fatigue. You could argue, well, it's Batman, but still, we don't know. Are people, if they just saw a movie that featured Batman and Robin, want to get another movie that's Batman and Robin? You know, and even to myself too, I've said this before with the Superman, Supergirl, and I think they hopefully will do a good job of making them different. But going from Superman to Supergirl to Man of Tomorrow, when we get Time to Man Tomorrow, I think it's two things. Is it just like, oh, I'm really invested in the Superman saga, so let's keep going? Or is it like, this is a lot of Superman in a row, you know? And that's how I feel. I'm not a big Superman guy. And honestly, I didn't love Superman, so that's probably it too. If I loved that movie, maybe I would be more hyped, right? But we'll have to wait and see. So I think I'm going to talk about with the boys a little bit too, as far as the Batman and Man Tomorrow, because this goes to another rumor that was, or was this a rumor? I think it was, right. Oh, so it comes from Puck News, so a bit of a higher tier one. Let me get the actual. Oh, I had the article. I'll try and see it, but anyway, so pretty much they put out kind of another update, because what happened now, obviously the bidding's still going on with Warner Brothers. We don't know what's going to happen. Lots of people, which I kind of lean to right now, where everyone put in their first bid apparently, and the people were Paramount, we don't know, with or without Saudi, Netflix, and then Universal, right? And apparently now I think it's this week where it's like a sweeten the deal bid, where okay, all these aren't good, let's see. And people have pointed out, which I do lean to, where the thing is that's happening right now is, up until April of 2026, if you buy Warner Brothers, you're buying everything. So like the news stations, everything. And I kind of forgot about that. So that's where people have a theory, and I do kind of agree that I wonder if Warner Brothers will kind of wait unless they get a massive offer, and someone like a Netflix or Comcast could offer more to buy just the films, because they don't want anything to do with the news stuff, right? but we'll see what happens. And I'll find this article, but it was weird where they were talking about the scenarios and the things that are going on, what's happening. I'll try and find it here. But Weapon Zach Cregger is pitching his DC film, which was apparently Henchman, so it was like a Harley Quinn Joker thing, to Skydance, with Josh Greenson saying they'll be more than happy to make it happen, which is super interesting. Of course, the article's locked behind. But anyway, so it's a paywall article. So, support them if you want. It's on Puck, but they're going on a bunch of stuff. We've talked about this before and even Zach Cregger said, like, hey, it's just like an idea. It's a pitch. But hey, remember a couple of years ago when someone put out a story, it's still fucking weird the way it all went, but like, oh, Mike Flanagan's working on a Clayface movie, but it's not even official. He's just working on pitching it and writing it, right? It's something he worked on, and which in my opinion was probably wrote during the strike, and just like, oh, here, you could sell this. And then the word was, oh, we don't know where it is. Then James Gunn or Matt Reeves. And apparently it was in the Matt Reeves universe, which is crazy because this is looking like to be a fantastical one. So it's like, what does that say about Matt Reeves' universe? I don't know. Or even he could have been like, you know what? We're not going that route now. But the idea was it was in the Matt Reeves DC, Batman verse, whatever, the crime saga. And then it got changed over to DCU. But that's a similar thing where we've heard this now twice. Like we've heard it, I guess, a few more times. But with trades reporting and talking about, it's been twice. I think the first person was Daniel RPK. And it was just like, he has an idea. It's a pitch. Who knows if it happens? But we keep fucking hearing about this, right? And also in this article, let me see if I can find, because I did share this at GUA. It was this quote, which it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's a water is wet situation. I've been saying this for, I don't know, since they got in there. Where is the official quote here? Oh, yeah. James Gunn and Peter Safran may not have full control of DC Studios if Paramount buys Warner Brothers. Lottie fucking da. Like, no shit. Like, I said this before, and I know people will bring this up because they're very right leaning, right? Very good with Trump, all that stuff. Okay, fine. Whatever that may be, take politics aside. We have seen this happen so many times. I'm just going to quickly reiterate in case there's someone new, which again, we'll go over on Thursday. Shout out to everyone on Spotify Wrap. We had like a 90% growth on Spotify this year. So big thank you to everyone listening on Spotify, and keep the comments coming. I didn't even know that people would comment on there. I just found them this year. So, comment. We will talk to you there. But so anyone that's new, because every day we have someone new, I'm grateful for that. Not every time, but so many times when studios and whatnot take over, there are changes. And I've said this before, it could just be as simple as someone was sitting at a dinner table and James Gunn made a joke and they didn't like it. Okay, well, I shouldn't say that because, like, obviously it's sister, but James Gunn bumped into him, spilled a little wine on their shoe, and they're like, fuck James Gunn, I'm never going to work with that guy, right? So I said this before, that it doesn't take out the Trump stuff, take out all that stuff. It doesn't even matter. It could just be one thing, or just the fact that same thing like me. Like, I'm not, and I've said this before, right? I wouldn't do this. I've said this where I have not loved the DCU so far. Peacemaker season 1 was way better than season 2. I thought that was disappointing. Superman to me was like fine to good, but I'm not locked in. But I've said before that I think the success is there and enough people are enjoying it to ride it out and see. At least to like, I definitely think Man of Tomorrow, because as I've said before, what if you get to Man of Tomorrow and that just falters, then people go, okay, yeah, people maybe didn't love Superman as much as we thought, or they've had too much of the Superman, let's change it up. Like, I'd still give it, if I'm Elson, whoever gets it, 2 to 4 years to see what it can do, because it's cranking along. As I've said before, you can't reboot it if their ideas do, a cinematic universe, but I want to do it my way. That's dumb, because that would fail. To me, in my opinion, that would fail unless you're, I don't know, like making extremely low budgets, or you're just paying out the ass for the biggest stars all the time. And Saudi Arabia is just giving you a blank check, right? But realistically, in the film world, it would fail to me. Of, you got a new Superman. It's not the past and versus, let's say, Jonathan Bailey. It's not that of, oh no, these two things are happening at the same time. It's just different versions. That's Batman with Robin, and this is Batman on his own when he's younger. Okay, cool. It's a different cup of tea, right? This is the new Superman. This is David Cornswell in the 2 years. Here's the new Superman. What is David Cornswell coming back? No, this is the new Superman. Because even with Man of Steel and Cavill, obviously, I'm not discrediting, right? Love the movie. Have lots of friends that love the movie. Zack Snyder's Justice League came out 2020, right? COVID time, right? Let me just confirm that. It's not 21, right? Justice League. Oh, it is 21. Okay, yeah, because, right, 2020 was COVID, was the shit, nothing was happening. So 2021, we got Superman this year. That's 4 years ago. But even then, there's still tons of people that didn't see the Snyder Cut, right? And that's not just because of, the anti-Snyder. No, it's just that They thought they saw the Justice League, didn't need to see it again. They're not seeing a director's cut. They think it's a bonus thing, or they've moved on, super fatigue, whatever it is. Unfortunately, over time, I think this will change, but I could still, if you were to show me, if God was real and he came down, I said, show me the stats for the people that have seen the Justice League in 2017 or Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm not saying hours watch, I'm saying the amount of people. Probably still the 2017 one because it's also played on cable. Like when I was watching AEW before with my American stream, Justice League would be playing before that or after that, right? Like on cable, sometimes on Netflix. Just by proxy, there are people that clicked on that, right? So that's where if you look at that, okay. And I guess, right, there is Black Adam, but that's an end credit, not like wasn't the most successful, right? Take that out. 2017, it was what, 20, so 8 years for a new Superman. That's completely different versus Paramount buys WB and DC and it's like, hey, here's a new Superman. Where's James Gunn? Oh, he's gone. This is the new Superman. You're like, what? I'd say I'd have to look at the timeline, but what? So Amazing Spider-Man 2 was, God, why? That was 2014, right? And then 2 years later, you got Spider-Man. And even saying that with BVS to Dark Knight, those are smaller. But you could also argue those are the God tier characters people are going to come out for, right? Superman, I don't think is a God tier character anymore. I think it just showed in the past, in the future, or not in the present, just box office number and reception. People still enjoy Superman, but he's not an insta hit, right? So we'll see. But with this, what my point was that it was a double of them putting them in the article of, hey, they might not have full control. I've been saying that for a while. And even this, as far as if I'm James Gunn, and maybe he already knows about this, right? But let's say he doesn't. If I'm James Gunn and I'm looking at people that could potentially buy, and now it's like, we're really running out of good options here. Like it really, to me, is like I'm hoping Universal and Comcast get it. And even then, they could oust James Gunn and say, hey, we want to do our own thing. But if I'm James Gunn, and I'm supposedly the president of DC Studios, but I already see an article of somebody that doesn't even own this company, but it's like, hey, yeah, if we get Warner, and this would just be all lip service, right? But still, let's say it's not. Let's say it's legit. Hey, if I get Warner Brothers, you can make that Joker film. And let's say that happens, and you sit down, and already you're annoyed. It's like, I don't necessarily want to do that. And maybe he does. Maybe James Gunn's like, great, I'm in sync with this person, right? But let's say he doesn't. Like, I don't know if I want to do that. Paramount buys WB and they sit down like, hey, we're going to make this Joker film, the Henchman film X, Y, and Z. And he could say, oh, well, it doesn't fit in our plans. We only want to do so many Elseworlds. I don't know if this would be it. We did just have a Joker movie a couple years ago. Sure, it was a musical, but didn't do the greatest. Like, maybe we want to wait a little bit. He could have X, Y, and Z, but it doesn't matter because he's not going to own the fucking thing, right? And that's where it's just, I've said this many times where, I guess, obviously, the major thing is I just wish WB stayed the same. They had a great year this year. Who knows what happens next year? I don't know how Clayface and The Bride and Supergirl are going to do like some of the bigger titles. Like, I don't know. I don't know if they can have another big year. Studios have mad years all the time, right? But I wish they would stay the same because I think, and I feel really bad for the people that do really enjoy the DCU and even DC in general. Like, of course, I want more. I want a bunch of characters. I said this before. I've always wanted DC to get their end game, and I think James Gunn is the best shot at that, or even Avengers. Fuck, because I don't think Zack Snyder's Justice League was that. Sure, okay, they did get that, but after the fact, right? I want them to have that big moment of this big story being culminative and coming together. For me, I'm in a situation where if I can get the Batman 2, which sounds like happening, I'm gravy, and then if I get the Batman 3. Batman's my favorite character all the time. I got many iterations. If you were to say, hey, you're never getting another Batman movie ever again, that would be a bummer. But it's like, well, there's animated stuff, there's comics. I'm going to be okay. Especially after if we get the Batman 2, I'm going to be okay. I love Batman Begins. Don't get me wrong. I still don't have it on the levels of Dark Knight as far as like my favorite, but now I got the Batman. It's like I have two favorites. If I have a different day, if I want to watch a certain type of Batman, and even then as a Joker fan, I have a favorite movie with the Joker, right? I'm a pig in fucking shit here. With other people and the people locked into the DC right now, I do feel bad because I just feel like you're about to get fucked royally. Like I think it's coming. I think it's time to buckle up, enjoy it here. And it is crazy where when James Gunn took over, take everything aside, it's still the situation of Matt Reeves is making a follow-up to a very successful Batman movie. And I guarantee you he doesn't know 100% if Batman 3 is going to happen, right? I feel like Gunn, and he's doing that right now. He makes Batman. And again, they're they're professionals. They're great, way above whatever I'm doing, right? So they can probably log and go, okay, I'm going to just do this, enjoy it. But that's what I'm just saying. If they're not, man, just enjoy it because James Gunn's in that same situation now where he's making Man of Tomorrow. And there's a good shot he doesn't know if he's going to be back in that chair for the next time Dave Cornsweat's running around the Cape or anybody else, you know? Like, and it's funny how that's how it started with Matt Reeves, and now it's going to be happening with Gunn, where it's like, tomorrow's not guaranteed. So both for James Gunn Man tomorrow, Matt Reeves with Batman Part 2, fucking go out there. And, shout out another director, because he said this on the Vodka stream. Zack Snyder said, shoot every bullet you got in the gun. Try to do that as much as you can, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So, and same thing here. And again, I can't say if it's a good idea. I'd have to see the script and the pitch. In concept, I like it. I think it's a good idea. And I like Zach Cregger's work so far. I don't love it as much as other people. Like, I didn't love Weapons and Barbarians like a lot of other people. They're all like a 7.58 to me, where some people would probably put them as like the crown jewel, the new horror directors. Not exactly for me, but he's still making really good stuff. So I'd be complete down. Like, yeah, sure, let's see this. And again, as long as you make it like a budgetary fine, like I think it's like a layup, like get like, and even then with the Joker and Harley Quinn, you want to make it small budget, fucking go get a character actor. Don't even go get like some big name like a Walking Phoenix or like Leo, how he's rumored before. Like, get a character actor. If the movie's truly about this main person as a henchman in Gotham and it's not connected to James Gunn or Matt Reeves' universe, just get character actors. Keep it cheap, like make it more about the character than the actor. So we will see. So let me pull up some Patreon questions here. And like I said, next week we'll see what happens. If I don't get to all these ones, I will talk about them next week. Like I said, I do plan to do kind of a podcast. I did, I guess, a little bit, but just a podcast more about just like enjoying life, everything I need that. But if I don't get that evergreen topic, as I said before, just things can change. Enjoy what you can right now, So Matt, let's see, where is it here? Because I stole it from the Geek First one, but they wouldn't have been able to really answer this. Matthew Fletcher asks, as of now, who's everyone's pick for best lead actor at the Oscars? I could ask them again the news, but I don't think they'd have any idea, Matthew. Kirkland didn't like the Oscars, so he didn't follow it. Dylan might have like the next best guess because I feel like he's seen more films than that elk, but like I still think there's tons of stuff he wouldn't have seen and no idea. For me, like let's look at Gold Derby because right now it's like Chalamet, and it does. We were talking about this in the Discord the other day where I do think The Rock is out. I think that's kind of over. I think that unfortunately the quality of the movie kind of took that down. So let's see here. And Gold Derby, if you don't know, that's where all the kind of Oscar critics and whatnot kind of make their predictions right now. So right now the running is, and look at this, I don't know what this means. This is 90. Maybe this means for a lock, 94% Leo, and then Timothy Chalamet 93. I think as more people see Mari Supreme, that could change, but. And then Wagner Moura as the secret agent, and then Michael B. Jordan, Sinners, and then Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, which I've heard some stuff about. Let me see if I can get theirs. Usually they have like the people that are like 5 and 6. Yeah, we'll see all. But to me, that's kind of the field, right? Because who are the other people? Joel Edgerton could sneak in there. Plemons, I would like. We're going to talk about what we've been watching in the news. I think Austin would be lead acting, but he'd probably go for supporting. I think he is the best part of that movie, but Jeremy Allen White for Bruce Springsteen, no, that's not happening. Including for Jay Kelly, there's always a chance. There's a chance it could happen because sometimes it gets in there. Dwayne Johnson, there's also a chance that could happen as well, but I feel like those top 5 are the ones where at least Leo, Timmy, and I do think Michael B. I think Sinners is going to be lots of people, and I feel good about this prediction because I feel like the Oscar, there's been a couple Academy Award Oscar movies that have come out and kind of underperformed what people thought they were going to be as far as multiple noms or a lock in there. I can't remember when, but I think at least a month or two, like I said Sinners was going to get a Best Picture nomination. I didn't say anything about Michael B., so I can't step on that. I didn't say anything about Coogler because Coogler's been passed over before. I do think it's going to happen now for Coogler. Dylan O'Brien being ignored as Criminal. What would he be ignored for April? Let's see, where is he? Yeah, he's nowhere even in this list. Like even then, like Hugh Jackman for Song Sung Blue, that's one that could sneak in there because I've heard some buzz about that. There's always usually one that sneaks in there. I just feel like that 3 of Michael B., Leo, and Timmy, that's a lock to me. Those are in my opinion. But yeah, let me know what he would be in there for. I think, are you talking about that Twins movie or something like the Twin List? Yeah. I guess I just didn't hear. I do want to see it. I guess I just didn't hear enough buzz in those communities, right? I think that's what happens. Sometimes those movies get a bit too niche and it doesn't break through. Because even then, look at like Smash Machine, right? That was like obviously Dwayne on Gold Derby's ranked in like the top 10, but that didn't, pun intended, smash the way people were thinking, right? And I think when a bear movie could have. So yeah, I'm not surprised just because the reception, April. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. But yeah, I think that's it. And I still think, oh, that's what I was saying with Sinners, though. I was calling Sinners. And now that it's like a weaker year, Sinners is looking even better. So stuff like Coogler, stuff like Michael B. That's stuff that's going to get in there. And it's not that it doesn't deserve it. It might be my film of the year. I've rewatched 28 Years Later. We were going to do Sinners and Halloween. We didn't have time, so we're going to do more Oscar season because Emily hasn't seen it. But I go back and forth on the two. As for, and not for Oscars. I mean, for myself, I have pros and cons. But Sinners, it's literally like my 1B film of the year, right? It deserves these accolades, but because it is more horror adjacent, does it get in there? Not so much. You know, like that's the thing. But now with it being a weaker year, starts to climb, starts to make some movement. Like even with Gold Derby, do they got Coogler in director? Are they making him sit out for that right now? He's ranked 3. So right now you got Paul Thomas Anderson, Chloe Zhao, Ryan Coogler, Jock Trier, and Jafar Paneri. So yeah, I think Coogler's going to get in now. I think a couple months ago I was iffy on it, but I always was an iffy on the movie. I thought that with it being 10 now, I thought, or, you know, can get up to 10. I thought so. So yeah, Matthew, I think it's, at least I think Leo, Michael B, and Timmy are locked. Ethan Hawke could be, but I also think one of those slots is kind of a surprise where things kind of shift throughout award season, right? Where there's a pick that no one thought was running that well starts to run better. So, and I think it's tough because we've talked about this before. Things can break. Like who's the last person listed here? Like like Dave Strain for a little prayer. Nothing against him, but like just like when you get down to their ranking like the top 50, it's like, is Miles Teller for Eternity really going to get there? I don't think so. But let me just see. Colin Farrell for about, and like even Colin Farrell for a Big Bold Journey, Beautiful Journey. It's like at some point it's like you don't gotta rank these people. Like the top 15 is fine, you know. And it is between like honestly, I have not seen Mario Supreme, so I have to wait. So I actually can't speak about that, Matthew. It's a question of are they going to give it to Timmy? Because there is a narrative which things can break, right? We just talked about the Game Awards where sometimes they used to do like, oh, director. Yeah, April. I would personally, because here's the thing with obviously it's more like the film Twitter and our community, right? But I was surprised how much pushback there was on Oscar Isaac, where I think a lot of people didn't love him. I don't think they thought he was bad, but didn't love him. I think if there's any acting sneak for Frankenstein, it's a Lordy. Like let's look at the best supporting actors right now. To me, because right now he's ranked 5th. So you got so the gold stars like who they think are locks, right? So their locks right now are Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Valley, and Paul Mescal for Hamnet. I agree with all those. I think so. And then below that is Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, and then Jacob Elordi, which I'm excited to do like a full Oscars cast because it's interesting. Elordi is rightly 5th because he's the sneak. He's the one, and I think he deserves it. I think he's great. I think those other ones are lock, and Benicio's tough because do you do another One Battle After Another? And then even with Sean Penn, that's a tough one of, I think he's getting the nom for sure. It's that win. It's that win because obviously he's on his sleeve is like a fuck the Oscars type of guy, right? He's talking about how bad the Oscars are and whatnot. But it feels similar to Milk when it's just like when he did that speech and he came up there, he's like, you goddamn left, like homo loving, like he was saying all in joking, but even in the speech he said, hey, I know it makes it really hard for you to like me. So that's the thing where even the last time he won, he like calls out the Academy for kind of being assholes or whatnot or taking shots to them, but then he just kind of makes a joke, oh well, thanks for putting up with me, and gets the award. That's where for Sean Penn's like, can he get the win? And I don't know. Like for me, I do love Benicio in One Battle After Another, but Sean Penn is like the clear win. I have to see Sentimental Value, Frankenstein. As much as I love Frankenstein and Jacob Elordi in that, I still put Penn over him. Hamnet, I really don't want to see. I don't want to see. I might. That's gonna be that one where it's like if I have to watch Oscar movies, it'll be last, and if I don't have time for it, oh well. But I probably will because last year that was kind of, and I've said this before, I love Bob Dylan, one of my favorites. I just had no interest in that movie. I'm gonna do a double feature of that and like the Springsteen movie, I think, at some point, just knock them down. But that was one where when we did our, April, you were on there when we did our predictions. I just said, oh, I haven't seen this yet, and sometimes you got to put things to the side, right? Not you, April, was rocking like 400 movies a year. Good on you. You're the queen that way. But for me, that's a movie where, because I have no interest in it, I put in the last. But the thing though with the Bob Dylan movie, I had a good feeling that Timothée Chalamet was not going to win, or anybody really, right? So that's where I can put off when it's one of those movies that is going to get a bunch of noms but not really win. That's one at the bottom. With Hamnet, Jesse Buckley is going to win that fucking award just because like it feels like that's the narrative, right? So that's where I probably will see it because I want to be able to say that I agree or disagree with that, right? But I just non-theaters though, not seeing that in theaters. So we'll see. But that's what I've said before. Anyways, we're talking about video game awards where there was, and Oscars do this too, right? Where it's like, oh, there's like 3 to 4 years where it's like one guy gets game direction, hopefully win girl one day, and one girl gets best game award, and that's it. And then now it's like almost together where it's like the game wins and game direction wins. As I've said many times, to me, if the thing's game of the year or movie of the year, you should also be director of the year. I've never understand that correlation. I just feel like I understand from a visual aspect, but to me, if you made the best film that year, you fucking directed it. You also deserve that award as well. Life of Pi, Ben Affleck, like Argo should have got it that year. Ben Affleck should have got it that year. I get it. It's more aesthetically pleasing. There's more visual stuff. But it's like, still a best picture, right? So that's where I am. So Matthew Fletcher. Sorry, I didn't make my point. With the Oscars, they have a tradition of, if you look, it's not all the time, there's exceptions to the rule, but if you look at the traditions of first-time winners, for females, they generally lean towards them being younger, and then with males, they generally lean towards them being older. Don't know why. I'm not sure if it's like, with the females, it's like a new young star that we want to crown, and it's just the momentum, and with men, it's like, you got to work for it, right? Like that was the almost narrative or kind of rumor with Leo. It's like, we're going to make him work for it. And same thing with Timothée Chalamet. If his performance is as good as people are saying, I like Leo in One Battle After, don't get me wrong, but if it's as good as people are saying, I'm just imagining I would put him over Leo. Leo already has one, so to me, it's like to get a second Oscar, a la Sean Penn, and I can't say it's a 50-50 of him versus Mickey Rourke and the wrestler, but I can still say from Mystic River to Milk, Sean Penn is phenomenal in Milk, right? So it has to be same thing as fucking Emma Stone in Poor Things, right? To me, you have to be almost extra phenomenal to get that second or third Oscar because we've already given it to you. So, and I don't know if Leo has that in One Battle After Another. I think he's great, and if he were to win one, be like, oh, it's preposterous. No, not that. It's not some other ones like, I'm not going to try and name any off the top without saying some off the cuff and regretting it later. But it's just, there's certain awards where you go, okay, I don't think that this was the best in this category, XYZ. So we'll see. And because Timothy is young, like, what is he? I know he's younger than me. Timothy, let's see. He is 29. Okay, so he's 3 years younger than me. So I don't know what the last, maybe Rami Malek. We'll do that more Oscar predictions. We'll shelve that to look at some young Oscar winners for males and whatnot. But that's the thing. But it feels like the momentum is behind Chalamet. So, and we'll see. Maybe this is the start of the career of him going for that record, trying to get to 3, right? So we will see. Let's see. Let me pull up my notes here. Cocktail Clay, I know you asked a question here. You asked two. So you said top 5 or top 10 animated series or episodes of the Batman the Animated Series. Clay, I will answer this in about 3 years' time. But I can tell you just a favor or two, just because we will be, as we announced at the end of the extra live stream, we are going to do a Batman in the Animated Series retrospective because we got Clayface, we got the Batman, maybe a DCU Batman. It's time. We've talked about for many years. It's time. The guys like the X-Men one, and it is a long one because we're doing Batman the Animated Series, the New Adventures. We're gonna do Batman Beyond. We're gonna maybe we didn't say that, but there you go. we're doing it all. We're doing that whole fucking entire story, and we're doing the movies too. We're doing Mystery Batwoman. We're doing Heart of Ice, or no, Sub-Zero. We're doing Mass Fantastic. Like we're doing all the Return of Joker. We're doing all. That's gonna be our biggest retrospective of all time. Cannot wait. So I will say that it's tough, Clay, that because there's so many around my head that to make it 5 or 10. it's super tough to decide what I'm going to list off. So I think when we do the retrospective, I'm literally going to have rankings and keep ranking all the episodes. But I'll say probably my like a couple favorites. I love I Almost Got Him, where it's just all the villains around a poker table telling their mini stories of how they almost caught Batman. I love that. Robin's Reckoning is great. You know, talking about Robin earlier, like that's something that to me is like a good representation of an origin of that character. Lots of stuff with the Joker's great, but Joker's Favor is probably my favorite Joker episode. That's really, really good. Oh, the name is escaping me, but when Batman gets put into Arkham Asylum, that's a great one, and he's on trial. The Big Bad Harvey Dent ones are great ones. Yeah, and there's also one that there's not villains in it. I don't think so, and I can't remember what it is, the title of it, but it's the one where Gordon gets shot, and there's no villains, and it's just like it's one of those few times in the series that Batman is playing with the idea of like they never say it, but you can tell that Batman wants to kill this criminal that shot Gordon, right? And he doesn't, but it's a great episode where because sometimes there's some made up villains. Obviously, Harley Quinn was made up, but there's some made up villains where you go, oh, this doesn't work, like the Sewer King or whatnot. But this story of just Gordon gets shot on the line of duty, and Batman's trying his best not to cross that line, and he sees Barbara there, and all the other cops are kind of like, even Harvey Bullock, who hates Batman, is almost kind of like fine with Batman being there because like he took one of our own. So like there's some deep moments in that show. So there's a few Clay. There's a couple previews, but I'm very excited to get in that, or even Feet of Clay, which we'll be tackling. Like that's great. So yeah, I cannot wait. My most anticipated retro. And like I said, we're gonna do the same as far as like 3 to 4 episodes per episode. So but it's still, I think there's like 100 when you put in all of it together. Like and the movies like 100, like it's gonna span multiple years, this retro, so look out for that. And then this was a hard one, and I tried to rack my brain because I don't think I only have like the one Clay, so maybe it's something that's like a cop out, so I hope you're not disappointed. And that's why I wouldn't have made an evergreen, because like I guess I would have maybe actually if I would have brought up a list. But could you say what are your few favorite movies from some of your least favorite actors, actresses, or directors? I don't know if I have any actresses or directors. Everyone knows for me it's Jared Leto, right? Like that, like because even then when we talk about listen to the Minecraft retrospective, I know I always get joked upon with Jack Black and all this stuff, but for me it's like I don't dislike and hate Jack Black. I dislike the same performance over and over, but I've never like, oh my god, he has multiple performances I love, multiple movies I love. For me, I guess it is just Jared Leto, and like a time he was great. Again, speaking of Oscars, he is good in Dallas Buyers Club. I don't think he deserved the win over Fassbender. I think Fassbender should have locked that. I think Fassbender became just a vile, hateful, where you lost Fassbender in the performance, double performance speak. That to me deserved it there. And at that point, as I've said before, you go through runs, that 3 to 4 years, he was the best actor in Hollywood. I don't care. Put him against anybody. Best actor. I feel like that was time where Leto, I didn't agree with that. But as far as favorite movies, I think an obvious one's there if you know me, Blade Runner 2049, right? And I actually think that's a movie where Jared Leto is good in, right? I don't think he's good in Morbius. I didn't think he was great in Tron. Obviously, Joker, he's not great there. Like Requiem for a Dream, yeah, sure, he's good. I need to watch, but I don't think it's like a huge, heavy performance thing. It was just like, oh, Jared Leto's in this. So there's not many that I can go to, but I think that would be it for him as Blade Runner 2049, where I love the movie, and I think he's great in it. And like, I don't think I have a least favorite actress per se, and even actors, I don't have that many, right? I think there might be like another one that might be like, oh, like this guy again, but I don't, no one to the level of Leto, and there's no one that really springs to mind. And same thing with directors, right? Because I feel like least favorite directors, because here's the thing, because well, how did you pose the question? You said, what are a few of your favorite movies from some of your least favorite directors? And that's the thing where I hate saying this, very talented, but I'm going to say again, Chloe Zhao. I do not like her style. Would never say it's bad. Would never, say, oh, she didn't deserve that win or whatnot. It's the same thing as Leto, where, hey, to me, good, but I would have went somewhere else for Nomadland. There's many other movies I would have picked there. But I don't have, like, I feel like most directors that are like a least favorite, I don't think I have a favorite because I just don't like their style. I guess I'm trying to think of, like, maybe again, like, I don't even like saying this name, but something like okay, we've heard him in the news, right? And we're talking about a little bit more, but like with the whole Rush Hour and Brett Ratner thing. I don't like Brett Ratner's stuff, but like I like Red Dragon. I think that's a good movie, and I think that's better than Hannibal. I think there's some good stuff there, and I think that got a good performance out of. Well, I shouldn't say got a good performance out of Hopkins, but it felt more akin to Silence of the Lambs, also because he's back in prison. But I just like I think that's the thing where I don't know if I have any favorite movies. I'd have to look at my list and say who it is. If anything, it would be someone that would be like a least favorite, and it's someone. Here you go, Clay. Like politically or real life, right? Like fucking Bryan Singer. Like definitely one of my least favorite directors, but like I love Days of Future Past and X2. Usual Suspects is fantastic. So that's the thing where it's like I think it's more of that where it's people that are canceled or people might have that like Woody Allen, right? I think it's more that what directors work because I feel like most people like Chloe Zhao, I was just talking about with Hamnet. I have no interest in it. Now that Jessie Buckley's probably going to win Best Actress, I do like to see the ones that are the front runners or going to win because people deem that as a award-winning performance. I want to see. So then I can at least go, okay, even if I don't see everybody, I would say, hey, out of this category, I've seen 3 out of 5, and even in this category, I would have put in this person or this person, or just even this person over the winner, right? And with even Best Actress right now, who is currently in there? Like I've Wicked for Good, I haven't seen, but I'm just gonna say Jessie Buckley's definitely over there. Begonia, yeah, and see, I couldn't say it because I think Emma Stone's great in Begonia. The Testament of Anne Lee, another fucking one I do not want to watch, but I still, and in sentimental value, I will because I have interest in that. But I still want to be able to have at least 3 to say, hey, this would be more justifiable winner. Because there's definitely years though. I can't think on paper. I'd have to look at when we do the predictions cast, but there's definitely years where like almost everybody in the category is like fine. Like in my opinion, fine. There's nothing great. They might have a very good performance, but nothing like this is a home run or this person was a home run. They should have done that. That happens all the time, right? So not all, well, I'm sure all the time in the many years of Oscar history. So yeah, I think that's just it, Clay. I think that's unfortunate. I don't think there's an actress like that's my least favorite. I'm just trying to think even like politically, right? Like same thing like what was her name who was Cara Dune, who got canceled from Star Wars and was making all those bad like jokes about trans people. God. Oh my God. I can't even remember. I can't even remember her real name. But she was in the fucking Haywire movie where they changed her voice. Same thing. Like, I don't think I have like a favorite movie of hers, right? Like Leto, I do because he just happened to be in there, but I don't have any. I don't have any for actresses. And let me know, Clay, too, in the Discord, or if you want to just PM me like any of yours. And same thing with directors. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other directors that people love and I don't. Like I guess like Wes Anderson, but even though like Wes Anderson, like I don't. He's not my least favorite. I just lately have unchecked some of the stuff because I'm over that. But like I fucking love Mr. Fantastic Fox. But same thing. I would never put him down like in the way you said, I think it was least favorite, right? You said, yeah, your least favorite director. I would never say, oh, Wes Anderson is one of my least favorite directors. I would say currently I'm not loving that it's just kind of a very similar vibe, very similar characters kind of all the time, but so. Yeah, and that's it. I think I got everything for the questions there. I'm going to answer this quickly because I saw on the news I was jealous. Mike, you asked the 3 favorite Christmas movies you would watch if you could only watch 3 Christmas movies for the rest of your life. You watch other movies, but just only those 3 Christmas movies. I'm picking Home Alone 2. Kirkland Patzer's he's wrong. He said, oh, he barely watches Home Alone 2. Come on, wrong. But Home Alone 2, I think you got Tim Curry in there, and it is it's like The Hangover, where The Hangover 2 is the exact same, but it's less funny. To me, that's the opposite, where it's Home Alone 1, but it's more funny. New location, but still Home Alone 1. I'm putting A Christmas Carol, the original, because I need A Christmas Carol, and I'm putting The Night Before. Love that movie. That's great adult humor, referencing a lot of other ones. There's tons of other movies that hurt not to put on there, like The Holdovers, or even any of The Grinches, or Love Actually, but those would be my 3, so I had to answer. But yes, I'll be back on Monday. Well, the box office. I'm sure there'll be other news to break down, but thank you very much to everyone that sent in questions. Thank you to everyone that tuned in live or listened after the fact. And I promise when you hear from me next, it'll not be